We unfortunately come to you this week with not the best news. We lost one of our little friends.
We did.
Little Maxwell passed away this past weekend, or last
We
weekend, I should
did.
say.
Yeah.
Um, he lived a good 13 years?
13. Yep.
13 years. That's a long time. He was a teenager.
He was a teenager. He was around for all three of my degrees.
Traveled the country with you.
He did.
Gave his opinions on the podcast a lot.
Got a concussion once.
Got a concussion on the podcast once. Yeah, we're gonna miss that little dude, that little alien man.
Yeah, I miss the little alien pretty hardcore, man.
Mm-hmm.
Not gonna lie.
So, this episode's for you, Max.
Oh sevens.
Oh sevens. Al, it's time to dive into a visual novel adventure game.
Thank you for bringing in the adventure game. I was worried for a second that you were gonna say it, and I was like,
It's
whoa.
me. Come on.
I know. People just, they like to leave that out.
It is me.
Because, like, wow, reading, this is a visual novel and only a visual novel.
That's all it can be.
Yeah.
Yeah, we played through the latest science adventure game,
Hmm.
and we're going to talk about it here this week on the Seasonal Anime Checkup OVA. It's a podcast where we have conversations about video games, anime, and manga. Hello, I'm Jared, joined as always by Doc Allen Ladium.
Hello.
This is episode 370, and we are discussing Anonymous Code.
Hmm.
It is a video game. Like I said, it's the latest science adventure game, which if you know what those are like, that's the whole conglomerate of games that, Steins Gate, Robotics Notes, all those
If it has a
games are...
semicolon in it,
Yeah,
it's one of
it's
those.
probably one of those, yeah. So it's all of those games kind of like in that old universe. So this is the latest one in that universe.
Hmm.
This game came out on the Switch and PlayStation 4 in Japan on July 28th of 2022, and then worldwide on Switch, PS4, and PC on September 8th, 2023 of last year.
Last year.
Let's briefly talk about the development of this game real quick, because there's not a whole
Okay.
lot. It's just a couple paragraphs. Anonymous Code was developed by, Chiyomaru Studio and Mages. It was written by Naotaka Hayashi, Ayano Suihiro, and Tsukasa Tsuchiya. Alongside Occultic 9, it was initially announced as part of the science visual novel series, intended to be separate from the developer's science adventure series. However, both games were later incorporated into the science adventure series, with Occultic 9 and Anonymous Code serving as the 5th and 6th main entries in the franchise, respectively. In contrast with the concept of infinitely expanding horizontal world lines used in Shikura's science adventure game Steins Gate, Anonymous Code uses the concept of infinitely expanded vertical world layers, with the main character being able to manipulate layers below his, and is themed around hacking. According to Shikura, the game's role is in part resolving unanswered questions from the science adventure series. Shikura stated that he initially wanted to increase the game's immersion by applying unique artwork to every scene and using full animation during major events. However, he realized the game would need at least 3,000 pieces of artwork, in contrast to the usual 100 found in visual novels, not counting the cost to produce the animations, and thus discarded this idea. His research onto how to lower the cost of an immersive visual novel led him to consider reusing old animation, developing Steins Gate Elite from this idea.
Oh, huh.
Like we said, this game came out in Japan in 2022. It was after numerous delays since 2016. There was a Vita version initially announced, but that got canceled because the Vita, unfortunately, or at least Sony doesn't think it exists anymore. Hashtag Vita never die.
Vita never die.
And then apparently a PS5 version was teased in the past as well, but that also never came out
Nope.
because it's just, the PS4 version, which, it's fine. It's whatever.
Yeah.
Don't need a PS5 version for this game, really.
Nope, you don't.
to really do anything. But yeah, Anonymous Code, a game that did not make either of our Game of the Year lists.
It got an honorable mention for both of us.
Yes. Um, but also like we mentioned back in the end of December, a lot of games, a lot of big games, a lot of good games came out last year, so it was a tough field.
It was a tough field.
I do remember when I finished it, you mentioning that this was not your favorite science adventure game,
Mm-hmm.
so that also possibly played into it. But it has some neat like gimmicks and whatnot. Like I think the save and load stuff that they do through the game, where they take the concept of you like saving and loading in a video game. Like that's what we all do in all video games. We save
Right.
and we load.
Well,
And
especially with like this kind of game.
especially like you said with these kinds of games in particular, they take that and make that a game mechanic to where Polon can basically save at a point and reload it and like jump back into that point and like have memories of what has happened and kind of use that to his advantage to write whatever he needs to write essentially, which I thought was a very interesting idea, and I think it's something that the game uses pretty well.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
Mhm.
It kind of reminds me of how like Nirvana Initiative used the like um what are those things called? Tree plot.
I know what you're talking about. And
What are
now
those
I
called?
cannot think of what it's called.
What are those things called? Oh my God. What are they called?
It's the the branching story paths that you get the flow chart. There it is.
Flowchart. Thank you. Yes. That one used the flowchart like
Brain cell.
as a way to like incorporate it into the narrative. And this one incorporated like saving and loading in the narrative. And I think that that's a really cool thing that they're doing is kind of like playing with your expectations a bit with like the gameplay mechanics of it actually working into the narrative.
Yeah.
And I mean, like the whole time you're playing this game, you're like, when do I get to load this one? When do I get to load it? I see you. I see you there. You've been there since the beginning. When do I get to load you?
Because there's a specific save spot on there that's kind of just like broken, I think.
Hmm.
And you can't really do anything with it. It's just there.
And Paula
And
will like yell at you if you try.
yeah, so like it's just like sitting there taunting you the whole time, like I'm here, hello,
Hello.
but I'm not gonna do anything for you for most of this game. So yeah, so I thought that was a really neat thing. We it's, they said in the development stuff, this is a game a lot about like hacking and stuff because like this is takes place in the near future of 2037. So like
And we've
everyone,
got the 2038 problem,
yeah,
which involves your
it
birthday.
does. My birthday is gonna cause all computers to die.
Cool.
Neato, Frito.
You're too powerful.
I am too powerful. It's true.
I don't know how old you're going to be in 2038, but apparently
48.
that version of you is
I'm
too
like, hey,
powerful.
oh no, everything's broken.
That that version of you is too powerful. The computers can't handle it.
This is the real Y2K.
Um, but yeah, that was pretty cool that it's like the second time that I heard about the 2038 problem in something last year, and I don't remember what the other one was, but I was like, "Oh, this is interesting."
Mm-hmm.
I
Uh,
didn't even know it existed.
but yeah, like a lot of computer stuff, like everyone has like basically built-in.
Like VR headsets basically.
Yeah, so you can like
Or like Google Glasses type
yeah, like
things.
AR stuff essentially or
Thank you, that's
VR.
the word I'm looking for.
But like you can kind of just like pull up anything at will and all that sort of stuff. It's very future tech type stuff, even though this is like 13 years in the future.
Have like a Hatsune Miku girlfriend.
You can have a Hatsune Miku girlfriend if you want.
She can be tsundere if you want.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's kind of like all like the near the future tech stuff you would expect from like something that's in the future.
Zura.
Zura. And basically you got to stop a problem like you said that occurs with the year 2038 problem, a hacker that's doing all these weird quests that have like
Mhm.
basically put people in danger. There's a mysterious girl here, and then the Vatican really wants her dead.
Yes.
You know,
Religion is involved. Religion as the villain? What?
that had never happened before.
Yeah, and and Earth simulators exist.
Earth simulators are a thing, like you said. Basically, they're things that basically can predict what can happen in the future, and you can like basically make that into like a macro or micro problem essentially. Um,
You can run it by like basically working a Rubik's cube.
yeah, that's how Rubik's cubes sound.
Yeah, I mean I've worked a Rubik's cube before. I can confirm how they sound.
Hmm. And then
You know,
also,
apparently there's one hanging out with the Titanic now.
well, there you go.
Sorry, I guess I shouldn't make references to the submarine exploding or
Oh,
imploding,
I didn't
sorry.
know what you really meant by that, but
One of the people decided they were going to solve a Rubik's cube down in the Titan submersible
that was a
and
mistake.
whoops. So now there's a Rubik's cube by the Titanic.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
And also, the you can play the game of life in this game. Not that game of life, not
Not
the
that game
board
of
game.
life. Yeah,
This is one's about like cells and stuff,
no,
math.
I'm just thinking of Corona's game of life now.
Oh boy,
Chaotic.
chaos. Yeah. There's a whole lot of weird stuff in this game, which I mean is to be expected because it is a science adventure game, so they go into just weird stuff.
Hmm.
Get to learn about the blockchain at one point,
You do,
which apparently is still a thing in 2037 in this game.
for some reason.
I don't think that's going to be the case in our current reality, but
And that's good. Um,
but
yeah.
but yeah, also it's like it takes things from reality then kind of incorporates them into this wild, out of control story. Like Cicada 3301 is a real thing.
Hmm.
Uh, the third secret of Fatima is a real thing,
Hmm.
and those are all like big things in this here video game, which is pretty wild to think about. I do always like how like they will take like you know something that has at least like grounds in something that's happened in our
Something in
reality
reality.
and
Yeah.
just like take that and basically like manipulate it in a way of like, oh well, this thing's continuing or something of that nature, or like we're gonna change it to like make this a big plot point or something. Like I think that's something I think that's an interesting idea to use, and like it makes these stories more interesting because like you have that grounding in like reality and like things that have actually happened
Hmm.
to just make them more fascinating in a way that like it's not just like, oh, we just made all this up.
It's very Shadow Hearts-esque.
Yes, that is true.
Hmm.
That is true. It is Shadow Hearts esque.
I don't know why I said that, but sure, we're rolling with it.
I mean, it's
I mean,
alternate
it's
reality.
not. Yeah. I mean, it's not wrong because like a lot of the things that happen here, that's like actual internet phenomenon or actual things that were like talked about in history. They're just like twisted in a way to fit the narrative of this game, and I think I like when that happens in games.
Mm-hmm.
Like something that happened in reality that they are able to like use as a plot device.
Mm-hmm.
Um, or as you said, like an alternate reality type situation. I don't know. I really like that kind of thing. So I'm with you on that one. But then again, we share our brain cells,
We do share a brain cell. That is true.
so we tend to like the same things.
Heh brain cell. Love to have a brain cell. Um, it's a funny thing to say. Yeah, of course.
Also, uh, you get cop idols.
Yeah, that was funny.
That was really good. The whole time I was like a cab, but also y'all are kind of fun.
It's very funny that like the police would be like, we need to get our image better. What do we do? Idols. There we go.
Idols. Perfect. Cyber crimes, that's what you take care of.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. And the song was catchy, so, can't be
Yeah.
mad about that.
Yeah. Speaking of that, they this has a dub,
It does have a dub.
which I don't think most of the science adventure games do have. At least the older ones
No.
don't really have.
Right.
Like obviously they did dubs of like the anime adaptations of Steins Gate and Robotics
Hmm.
Notes and all that sort of
Hmm.
stuff. But this one has a full dub. I think the dub is pretty good.
Yeah, it's
Um,
really good.
no complaints of that no whatsoever. So that's all
I don't
fun.
remember who the cast is now, but like it was really good.
I don't even know how to spell anonymous code. It's hard.
I mean, our brain's basically not working right now.
No brain. You got Max Middleton as Polon.
That was a good get.
Keith Silverstein's Tengen.
That was also a good get.
You got Cassandra Lee Morris and Xanthi Huynh as two of the cyber dolls.
Yeah, that was yes.
Erica Mendez is Asuma. Kaiji Tang is Ewan. Ewan. I don't know. Why I said it like Ewan.
Ewan,
uh,
Ewan,
Sean Chiplock is David.
David, which doesn't sound anything like Sean Chiplock.
No,
So I was like, Jesus Christ, the range on you, child.
it's
I don't
pretty
know why I
wild.
called you child, but I did, and so deal with it.
You are child.
You're a child. Um, but yeah, I was like, holy crap, like that sounds nothing like anything you've done.
Hmm.
Also, that character was terrifying.
Yeah, he's just wild.
He was terrifying. I forgot Ewan didn't have eyebrows.
Who needs eyebrows, really?
Nobody.
I mean, technically, I guess that's true. Probably.
I mean, yeah, but also like I kind of like having eyebrows. So,
Uh,
oh hey, the gal who played Momo is gonna be in Trails Through Daybreak.
well, there you go.
Yeah, love that. I mean that sincerely. It sounded sarcastic, but I sincerely mean that.
No, I really don't like this.
No, it's great. It's great. I'm super excited because she did a great job in this.
Yeah.
I think it was the first thing I probably heard her in though, but good for her.
Oh no, you've heard her in something else.
I have.
She's Tama in Nirvana Initiative.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind. I have heard her in something else.
So there you go.
Again, range. Holy,
The more you
people showing off
know.
the range. I'll be
Boom, boom,
damned.
boom.
You're right. I have.
But yeah, that dub's
Wow,
good.
wow, wow. Yeah, the dub's really good.
This story is very complicated and just it's a lot.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we can really dive into it fully.
We'd be here for a long time.
Yeah, because there's we would end up like the Charlie Day picture of him with the chart and everything afterwards.
We really would. I mean, because you have to think about it, like there's all the save and loads and figuring out like the
Hmm.
different layers. So I mean there's a lot going on here. There are a lot of moving pieces, and I'm not surprised by that because it's one of these games.
Yeah.
But we would be here forever if we tried to like
Hmm.
break it down piece by piece.
Yeah. I like Paulon as a character. Like, he's just like a goofy kid who like has a set of ideals and is trying to do the best he can and just basically gets wrapped up in a very weird and hard to explain situation that a kid like him should not be involved in, but he does his best through it, and obviously with his special power he's able to kind of like um do things that normally he wouldn't be able to do as well, but like uh I thought he was a fun protagonist throughout this game.
I think so. I mean, he had his ideals, and I was kind of worried when we got like this kind of like spunky 16-year-old character. I was like, oh, is he gonna be like one of those weird perv dudes? But
Well, I
he
mean,
wasn't.
to be fair, you do these games in particular, that is something you can question.
No,
Um,
you're right. I mean, there is a weird perv dude. What was his name? Wind?
which they don't really go super deep into that, I guess, like than what you would normally see. Like this isn't like Steins Gate or like anything
No,
like
no,
that
no.
with like Daru or stuff like that. Like Win kind of goes into that, but like he's very much just dedicated to his his virtual gal, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
he's just got that going on. But like yeah, there's not a whole lot of like the weird kind of creepy stuff in here, so that was nice to see.
It was. So that was refreshing, and I actually like really took to him. I thought he was a good character.
Hmm.
And it was also interesting to see like some of his ideals get shaken up and some of like what he thought was what he thought, like get completely flipped on its head and him have to like rethink, have my perspectives on things been entirely wrong this whole time.
Hmm.
Especially like with his dad
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and the whole idea of hackers. Because he is a hacker, that's what he does for a living, but he also like despises hackers,
Hmm.
which I thought was interesting. But then you find out that like it was a whole thing with his dad, and you're like, oh, well, that makes sense. But he has to rethink everything once he gets to a certain point in this lengthy game.
It is a lengthy
Um,
game. You were right.
he's a lengthy game. And so I like that. I like that he had to like question, what do I actually believe in? And that was cool.
Hmm.
Um, and obviously like he's very, very attached to the people that he cares about. So like he ends up becoming very attached to Momo, which makes sense.
Hmm.
But also like him and Cross have a really good dynamic, and I enjoyed that quite a lot.
Yeah.
Because they're a duo, they're a team. They run this company together, and um, I don't know. Cross kind of came across as like the older brother figure for
Oh yeah,
him,
yeah, yeah. Totally.
and I loved that. I thought that was great. He kind of like kept his head on straight.
Hmm. Which Poland kind of needs at points.
At times, but I mean, like he's a 16-year-old boy, so I don't even remember. I think Cross is only like a year or two older, though.
Yeah. I also like Tengen and Nonika.
No, no,
They were a good duo together.
they really were.
Real fun. Liddy's real fun.
I really liked Liddy. Okay, yeah, he's 17, so Cross is only a year older.
Got that maturity on
Um,
him.
yeah, he comes across as a bit more mature than Poland, but I guess that makes sense.
Hmm.
But yeah, I really, really liked Nono. I mean, she just like shows up with like a firework cannon when you first meet her. I was like, I love this child already.
I'm just gonna make a bunch of explosives.
You know what? Good for her.
As you do, which is fun. Um, yeah, all the, like the big quests and stuff are very kind of intricate. I would say, like one of them has you solving a plane hijacking.
Mhm.
Um, one of you has you solving a bank
This
getting,
one,
or a lot of
oh,
banks getting robbed, I should say.
there's one that's like a potential mass suicide
Right, 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 right,
situation.
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And like all of this is basically to have this version of Cicada 3301 like find someone who can help him, even
Hmm.
though you know not necessarily the case here,
Yeah.
but they're basically trying to stop the Vatican from doing bad things.
Wow.
Bad
The
Vatican, stop it!
bad Vatican. You mean religion is bad?
How dare you, religion?
Whoa.
Get out of here! But yeah, there's a lot of twists and turns obviously throughout this. Like you have to figure out like who might be playing both sides at some points here and there. Like who can you trust type of deals. Like which obviously this is kind of like how those games or how these games in
Hmm.
particular usually are. But I thought the mysteries of this were interesting and like trying to find all those out was always fun. I always like trying to do that and all that sort of stuff. Um,
Why does this Juno lady want us to die so bad?
How can she just go vroom, vroom,
Meow, meow, meow.
do all that sort of stuff? Here's a brief spoiler, so you can pause or you can skip ahead for like 50 or like 30 seconds.
Mhm.
Um, Makase showing up was interesting. Well, I guess the
Yeah,
Amadeus version of her showing up
the
was
Amadeus
interesting.
version. Yeah, that was really cool.
hmm That was a fun
She's
little
like, "Hey,
thing.
what's up?"
Hey, what's up? Because she works with the real Makase works with Liddy, and that's how she's able to get access to the Amadeus version of Makase.
Which is funny that like she still looks like the 18-year-old version of her,
Yeah.
because she'd probably like solidly be like what, in her 40s at
hmm
least at this point. I don't remember what year Science Gate took place in.
But like it's just that version from Steins Gate Zero essentially.
It is, yes, correct.
So, but that was a fun little thing to show up. I was like, oh, hey, uh, I know that. I know you.
I knew when that came up that you were gonna get excited because I got excited. I was like, oh, oh, oh. So I was waiting for you to get
hmm
to that point
It was
so that
also
we
cool
could
that
pull
they
together.
for the dub they got like her voice actress from the anime to reprise
Yeah,
the
that was
role,
great.
which I think is a good touch.
Hmm.
So that was neat and everything.
That was neat.
But yeah, like I think the story is interesting. I think kind of like you, I don't know if it necessarily hit the same high points as like Steins Gate and Robotics Notes does for me.
Hmm.
Like I think it's good still, but like it just doesn't necessarily like it's not as like impactful, right? Maybe as like memorable as those two were, because I thought those two were like really good.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
this one is still good, but just I don't think it necessarily hits the same marks. I think it does like I said, interesting things with um like the Vatican's a real bad place and everything, just real wild. But
Yeah,
um it is hard to go up against those two games in particular because they were really good. So
they were so good. Um, but again, the save load thing was really fun,
mhm.
and you did get some interesting things that happen here. And so like I do want to give it some credit for that, but yeah, I don't think I'm going to remember it as much as I remember the other two. It
Yeah, and like I said, like this was still an honorable mention for both of us in our game of the year list.
was
So like
great.
that doesn't mean like it's a bad game or like it's not memorable at all in any sort of way or like it's totally forgettable. Um, it just has a couple high bars to clear, and like those are very high, excuse me, high bars to clear, and that's not something that's easily done.
Correct.
So there's that,
Um,
and then I think also as well like the ending is kind of very predictable, I guess, with these games.
hmm hmm
So that whole thing wasn't necessarily like, as impactful because like it's something that we've seen before.
Right. I did think it was interesting that they used that like game of life pattern um as an actual like mechanic
Mm-hmm.
in the game because I kept like going to that thing. I was like, I don't know what's happening here. What is this? What do I do here? And then like when it got to that point, I was like, I know what to do here. I get it now. Dum, bum, ba-dum. Um, but yeah, it was I think that is interesting that we kind of got a reset for like a better word. But I do wonder like what would end up happening here because like if I remember correctly, Momo remembers Poland, but Poland doesn't remember her, right?
Correct.
So I wonder like how that plays out.
Yeah.
I also still think it's really funny that semi spoiler, she's like important in terms of religion. Um, and there's this whole sequence where like you can do Christmassy stuff with her.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if and if you try and give her like a gift for Christmas, she's like, "What about Jesus? Jesus is the reason for the season."
You're like,
Uh,
my bad. Sorry.
Load. It's like, okay,
Eject. 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 Eject.
don't like that. Yikes. She got real mad.
That was
She got
funny.
so mad. It was really, really funny.
Uh,
Um, yeah, but I'm trying to word right now, and the words are not happening. Um, the big set piece at the end was pretty cool, and again, I was real jazzed when I finally got to use that final save point.
hmm
Um, but yeah, it did have some predictableness to the end. Um,
Which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just like,
no, it's not.
we've played these games, so we kind of have like an understanding of probably what's going to happen at the end of these. So
We have
we
experience.
do have experience. So
So
yeah.
yeah, satellites and hacking and girls and religion and the Vatican and people falling apart while they're trying to murder you.
hmm all normal things.
Super intense. And Jared's birthday.
Yes, also that as well.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's anonymous code.
Yeah, it was a good time. I think if it had come out any other year, it probably would have made my list.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like if it had come out the year before, it probably would have.
hmm
Maybe. I don't remember what was on my year before. But like it was just a stacked year. So um it didn't really have a shot of making it into the top 10. But that is not to say it is a bad game because I really enjoyed it. And I did I hope that we get to see some of these characters again in the future.
Yeah, I think that would be fun. Like, I would be interested to see like an anime of this or whatever.
Yeah, or just like a nod to characters. Like if somebody mentions Poland or something in the future or something, I'd be like, oh, I know who you are.
hmm
I got you. Kind of like how we were excited about the one thing that we spoiled earlier.
Yeah.
Like
Um.
that would be cool. But I would watch an anime for sure.
All right. Let's see if Al would put this in her game of the year for 2022. Here's your 10 games from 2022.
Oh, are you looking?
Yeah. You had Omori, Kirby, Sonic Frontiers, Live a Live, Stranger of Paradise, Crisis Core, uh, Lost Judgment's Kaido Files, Trails from Zero, Xenoblade 3, and Nirvana Initiative.
It would have knocked Mori out easily.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking.
Hmm. So they should have released it in 2022 so I could have put it on a top 10 list.
Well, they
That's
did technically, but just
they
not over
did
here.
technically, but not for here. But yeah, that's another thing is it kind of like stealth dropped. I totally forgot that it was coming out until it like arrived at my door. I'm like, oh, hello.
Oh yeah,
Guess I'm
this
playing you
game.
now.
Like, there was a lot of games that came out last year, so
There were a lot of games that came out last year. Um, but yeah. One other thing I did want to mention before I don't know if we're wrapping up. I think we are, but um, the art was a little different from the other ones, but I really liked the art.
yeah.
And I liked the like pop arty type sequences that we got that kind of looked like a comic book
hmm
at times. I thought that was neat, but I just really like the character designs and like the the aesthetic of
And they're more animated as well than
yes,
usual. So
yes. I liked it quite a lot.
yeah.
Just felt like I should mention that.
So yeah, that's anonymous code. Now we just wait for that Stein sequel that's coming at some point.
Supposedly.
I think I saw something that they're going to talk about that at some point this year, but maybe I'm just
Oh,
imagining things. I don't know. Either way,
I
that'll
saw
come at
that
some point.
Robotics Notes manga is coming out now in English, and I'm kind of tempted
Ooh,
to start reading that because like
that'd be
Robotics Notes is
fun.
real good,
Yeah,
right? Right? The
yeah.
art's really cute.
Ooh,
I'll have to show you that.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 All right. Well, that's gonna wrap it up for us this week.
Mm-hmm.
So if you'd like more from us, head on over to seasonalcheckup.com or sac.cool is where you can find past episodes of this podcast and other podcasts like Jared Now Watch. You can also find columns and reviews on the site as well. If you'd like more from Ann Ladium, go to annladium.com. She's got columns and reviews. You can follow us on Twitter and TikTok at Anime Checkup. You can follow us on Blue Sky at seasonalanimecheckup.com. And you can buy our books, One Shiny Moment, A Critical Analysis of Love, Life, Sunshine, Hot Tubs, and Pac-Man on Amazon.com. And you can support us on Patreon, patreon.com/SACOVA. Buy us a slice of pizza, get access to unedited versions of the podcast early, and a wealth of bonus content as well, like our January Patreon I don't know why I said it like that. Patreon podcast,
Patreon.
where we talked about the 2002 film Spooderman.
Spooderman. Yeah.
Yeah. Next week we'll dive into the world of Otome, which I believe will be our first February episode.
Wow.
Just saying something.
Bananas.
Yeah. Al is gonna tell us about my next route as a villainous Otome.
My next life as a villainess.
Same difference. I completely did not remember what the title of that was fully, so.
I forget the actual like full title of the game, but if you give me like 10 seconds,
It's
I can
got
get
pirates.
it for you. It does. My next life as a villainess, all routes lead to doom. Pirates of the Disturbance.
Well, there you go. We'll talk about that next week. Maybe we will not hit rock bottom with Otome again.
We will not. I can tell you that.